Okay, here we go. Yesterday I just got through planting the sweet potatoes, which was the last thing that I plan on planting this spring. And it's just after sunrise on the 19th of May, 2013. We're looking at a columbine flowering right here. And here's the bed where the sweet potatoes are. We'll take about a 10-minute stroll through the garden. And right here's where I planted all the melons. And you can see that the irises are looking lovely. And right there's the pawpaw tree. And there's some mullein growing right there. It's a mullein plant, and daisy's about ready to flower. Here's one of the compost bins we're walking by. And these are the wild sunflowers. In latter part of August, September, they'll have yellow flowers on them, look very nice. And here's the strawberries and the beans. Something always eats my beans before it's all over with, but right now they look pretty good. And here's the pea patch, where the bunny was doing a bunny hop in the pea patch, but I caught him in the have-a-heart trap and gave him a new home. And here's the yellow cornfield, and you can see the squash in between the corn, so I'm hoping that the squash will act as ground cover and the corn will grow up. Of course, the raccoon usually trashes that before it's all said and done. And here's some tomatoes and cabbage and broccoli in this little bed right here. And here is the asparagus bed. You can see the asparagus, which we've been eating asparagus. One of the first signs of spring is when those little asparagus start sticking their heads out. We've been eating that all along. We'll go in and take a look in the greenhouse. Here's a little salvia that's growing right here on its own. And then some echinacea plants there. And we'll go in the greenhouse, check it out. So there's some Russian kale and beets, carrots, and there's a dandelion green growing there, and there's some lettuce and more beets, more carrots. This is the chard, and there's some kale, Russian kale, and purslane growing in there too. See, that little is purslane. Most people consider it a weed, but it's very nutritious. And then there's a squash plant right there growing in the middle of the carrots and the tomatoes. And there is my easy to assemble, only took me about 6 hours, rotating compost bin, the second one. Go outside the greenhouse, and this is one of the rain barrels. I have 2 rain barrels up there at the garage. You can see just that small little space will fill up 2 rain barrels. One of them's about 100 gallons, the other one's 55, and then I drain them down here, and then I can water from there. Let's see, in this bed right here is strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries. Let's see how they're doing. I've never grown the blueberries before, and I've not done much to that bed. And there's the thyme growing there on its own, and some nasturtiums in this bed, and also some squash growing behind the nasturtiums. And here's a little rose and some and then here's another cornfield. This is Indian corn growing here with one lettuce. And there's more of the sunflowers that grow on their own, wild sunflowers. And we walk up here, we'll see the lavender plant, very beautiful this year. And there's my elephants. And I had a great crop of tulips this year, and they're all done. And then here I'm trying the Three Sisters growing. So if you look at these, you can see corn, squash, and peas. And I'm sure something will eat this before it's all said and done, but I'm still trying anyway. In the background you see the okra growing. There's three little hills of the Three Sisters method. And then we have the thistle plant growing here all along its own. I got two of them actually. And then this is the herb garden. So right there is yarrow. And then that's some more lavender. And I got a little bit of basil down here. Basil plants, rosemary, cilantro, and parsley. And those are chrysanthemum plants right there. And you can see there's one little nettle plant there coming up. Usually I have nettles growing all over the yard. And then we'll take a walk. Right here's the koi pond. See if the kois are up looking for food. Yes, they are. You can see I've got I've got 3 koi and 1 goldfish that thinks he's a koi. I'll take a walk down here. Try to keep from falling down the hill. And you can see the garlic patch there in the background. I also planted some pumpkins there this week. And then over here is the Zen garden. You can see the Buddha, which is a duplicate of the Buddha in Kamakura in Japan. And then you see the bamboo in the background. Then you see that large stone back there behind the Buddha, which was extremely difficult to move in. I'm just kidding, of course. And then we'll take a walk down here and look at that is peppermint growing wild. And these are potatoes. And there's the last of the tulips and the dandelions that have already bloomed. And then in these beds I just kind of threw in some greens of various kinds. And we'll see if they're coming up. They're not quite coming up yet. And right there, just let that grow, which is, can't think of the name of it right now. And then you can see a few little greens are starting to come up here in this bed. This is sage. By the way, this is chickweed. Here's a sage bed right here. Again, there's a couple of beds up there that I just threw some greens in. This is what I'm considering the green area for greens, because as you can see, I'm enshrouded by trees here. And I've cut down a few, but I don't want to cut down too many of them. Here is a wild ginger plant and a fern right here, along with the chickweed. You can see a dandelion plant there growing. Here's 2 more of my water rain barrels. And then on top of that rain barrel, I'd plant a little garden there. We'll see how that works out. And here we go, we're in the flower garden now. There's the rose bush. It's about ready to bloom. And the lily plant. There's some there you can see calendulas blooming. And there's some greens of various sorts, lettuce. There's a sunflower coming up there. Sorry, those are marigolds. And the pansies. A little bit of pansies. And then there's a rose right there. And the hydrangea and the snapdragon. And then I've got a fig tree back there in the back. Here's a little pond right here. And then I can see that our new puppy, I can hear him. I'm going to go get him. Let's take one last walk through the bamboo garden, which normally is when the herb walk is in, but I'll show you our new puppy. So here we go through the bamboo garden. And then we'll end where we began. And here comes our little puppy right now. I hope that he's going to learn how to guard from all the raccoons, voles. And there he is right there. There's our little puppy. And that's the end of the garden walk.